So between me posting part 1 and finishing editing on part 2, every single member of 5 Seconds of Summer has put out a solo album or an EP or something, or they've announced an album is coming out, and I feel like I need to update this, because I talked about this already in part 1. So here's the updated solo projects entry on the Iceberg. So here you go, I guess. Michael released his first solo single, Cool, on April 2nd of 2025, and it's the first track off of his first solo album, Side Quest. And Callum Hood released his first solo single, Don't Forget You Love Me, on April 10th, 2025, and it's the lead single off of his first solo album, Order Chaos Order. If you want my thoughts on the singles so far, I think Callum's is probably my favorite of the two. I think Cool is alright. Don't Forget You Love Me sounds like it could have been off of Luke's Boy EP that came out last year. It's very somber, but it's also really dramatic and punchy. I really enjoy that, so I think Callum's might be my favorite out of the two. Nevertheless, both of these albums show a lot of promise. I think they could be really, really great. And my dude, Ashton Irwin, released Blood on the Drums last summer, 2024, summer 2024. I just wanted an excuse to talk about it. I know I kind of talked about it the first time when Straight to Your Heart came out, but now the whole thing is here, and it's great. It's amazing. I love it so much. So yeah, as of the making of this video, every single member of 5 Seconds of Summer has their own solo project coming out within the next little while, and I think that's everything for right now. We're gonna keep the Iceberg going as normal, but that I just wanted to address that from the get-go so that we could just keep going as normal. So, all right, cool. Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye.
Sounds live, feels live. 5 Seconds of Summer would embark on their second ever headlining tour, Sounds Live, Feels Live, in 2016, in celebration of their latest album at the time, Sounds Good, Feels Good. The tour began in Nagoya, Japan on February 19th, 2016, and appropriately wrapped up in Sydney, Australia on October 5th of the same year, with 101 stops including Dublin, Vienna, Amsterdam, Madrid, Hershey, Syracuse, New York, Nashville, Cincinnati.
Hey, I live there.
Denver, Boise, and many others. It was an incredibly lucrative tour, earning $39 million in ticket sales alone, and the opening acts included One OK Rock and Hey Violet, the former of which 5 Sauce would collaborate with in the future, but we'll get to that later. Covers. 5 Seconds of Summer have covered a number of songs from bands that have inspired them over the years. We've already touched on a few and will continue to talk about them, but here's, in alphabetical order, a list of every known cover 5 Sauce have ever recorded or publicly performed as of the writing of this video. A Drop in the Ocean, American Idiot, Chasing Cars, Check Yes Juliet, Drown, Fireflies, Forever, Forever My Father, Forget You, Give Me Love, I Miss You, If It Means a Lot to You, In My Head, JC Ray, Jersey, Just the Way You Are, Lego House, Lose Yourself, Love Song, Killer Queen, More Than a Feeling, Next to You, No Roots, Opportunity, Perfect, Please Don't Go, Rolling in the Deep, September, Smoke on the Water, Stay, Teenage Dirtbag, Teenage Dream, The A-Team, Tonight, We Are Young, What I Like About You, What Makes You Beautiful, What's My Age Again, Wonderwall, and Year 3000. Where's my inhaler? B-sides. There are several B-sides that didn't make the cut of 5 Sauce's initial album releases, some of which actually saw a wide release. We already touched on the She Looks So Perfect B-sides, and I don't want to harp on those for too long the way I did the covers, so I'll just highlight some of my favorites. From their debut album, Mrs. All-American and English Love Affair. Sounds Good Feels Good is a bit more complicated in that the B-sides were released as an EP almost 2 months prior to the album's release, something else we'll get to later, but I'll just say my favorites would have to be Broken Pieces and Over and Out. Youngblood has, in my opinion, the best B-sides of any 5 Sauce record to date, only appearing on the Japanese release, with Midnight and When You Walk Away being my favorites. As far as B-sides for the last 2 albums, Calm technically only had one, Kill My Time, which would later be added to the full album as the final track, and 5 Sauce 5 only had the deluxe edition tracks, which, if you ask me, don't really count. But if I had to pick 2, I'd say Tears and Flatline are my favorites. If I missed any, or if you agree or disagree with my choices, let me know in the comments. Somewhere New. December 17th of 2012 saw the release of 5 Seconds of Summer's second EP, Somewhere New. This would be the group's first professionally recorded collection of music with 4 songs: Unpredictable, Out of My Limit, Beside You, and Gotta Get Out. Listening to this EP from a modern perspective, you can definitely tell the guys have aged up since then. Obviously they sound older, but their lyrics and instrumentation grew up with them, and I think that's really beautiful. The Feeling of Falling Upwards. This is another live album also recorded in London. In preparation for 5 Sauce 5's release in 2022, the band would perform to a sold-out crowd at the Royal Albert Hall on September 22nd. The one-night-only show featured the band's classic lineup, along with a 12-piece orchestra and backing vocals from the House Gospel Choir in London. The event was live-streamed for paying fans who couldn't attend in person, and later made available to watch via pay-per-view online for a limited time. A line of merchandise was created for the show, and on April 13th of 2023, physical copies went up for sale on the band's website. Unplugged. The band's first EP, Unplugged, was released on June 26, 2012, and featured stripped-back studio performances of 2 of their original songs, Gotta Get Out and Too Late, and 2 covers, Blink-182's I Miss You and All Time Low's JC Ray. The EP itself was 5 Sauce's first and would chart rather well in Australia, New Zealand, and Sweden despite next to no promotion for it. Something I think is worth mentioning is that all 4 of the band members were sick when the EP was recorded. If you're a longtime fan like me, it's easier to tell in certain places, but all in all, they sound really great for being under the weather, especially on I Miss You. These guys are so stupid talented, I swear. Crystal Lay and Sierra Deaton. These 2 have their own separate entries on the Iceberg, but I thought it would be easier to just put them together for the sake of explanation. Crystal and Sierra are the wives of Michael and Luke, respectively. Crystal is a social strategist with a background in music management and a massive social media following, and Sierra, a former indie pop duo Alex and Sierra, is also a gifted performer in her own right, even appearing on 5 Sauce 5's 7th track, Older. Both couples were married in 2021, and Michael and Crystal have already had their first child. Regardless of their relationships, these 2 are more than just the wives of a couple of guys from a popular band. Their careers span years, and they put in so much work to get where they are. The 5 Seconds of Summer Show Tour. I'm not sure why I put this one in the 3rd tier of the Iceberg since it was the most recent tour, but I don't see this one getting a live album, and it wasn't promoting a new album or anything. I mean, 5 Sauce 5 had been out for nearly a year by that time, but here we go anyway. On April 6, 2023, 5 Sauce announced that not only was The Feeling of Falling Upwards coming to streaming services, but the band would be embarking on another world tour that summer, known as the 5 Seconds of Summer Show Tour. The tour saw 40 stops across North and South America and Europe from July to October of 2023, with Meet Me at the Altar serving as the opening act. I was lucky enough to snag a soundcheck ticket for the Cincinnati show back in August, and just like on the Take My Hand tour, they played Girls Talk Boys. I have such a connection to that song because of my experiences with it. It honestly might be one of my top 3 songs, so there's no joke. Anyway, this was a really great show. The staging was immaculate. Ashton's Mortal Kombat style drum battle with the audience blew me away.
Better luck next time.
And the implementation of the dice to make the show more interactive and give the band the opportunity to play songs they normally wouldn't was a really nice touch. The only real downside for me was No Shame wasn't anywhere to be seen on the set list minus the show's intro video.
It's the 5 Seconds of Summer Show.
I went to see this show alone, but I ended up making some new friends and even running into some old ones. And while I do still think the Indianapolis show on the Take My Hand tour might still be my favorite, this show is a very close second. Let me know if you went to the 5 Sauce show tour and what you thought in the comments. Carpool Karaoke. Karaoke. How do you sure, let's go with that. Amidst the 2020 lockdowns and the postponing of their next major tour, the guys uploaded a nearly 20-minute long video to their YouTube channel entitled Carpool Karaoke, an obvious nod to the Carpool Karaoke segment from The Late Late Show with James Corden. It shows the whole band on their way to a Zane Lowe concert singing and dancing along to the entirety of Calm and some of their older songs, along with the occasional goof and gaff that 5 Sauce are known for. It's actually a really fun watch and makes for some good background noise, and I'll have it linked in the description for you to check out. Tour Diaries. This entry is in reference to the many interviews and general videos taken throughout 5 Sauce's various tours over the years, the most recent of these being the feature-length recording of the 5 Seconds of Summer show in Amsterdam. It included video of the tour setup, stories from the band themselves, and live recordings of most of the set list from that particular show. There was also a series of videos recorded for the Meet You There tour, among others. They're a great look into the band's inner workings and the antics they get up to on the road.
So, Mike, still into pizza and McDonald's? Yeah, Love pizza, love McDonald's, love Pokemon.
Acoustic versions. We've discussed the acoustic version of She Looks So Perfect ad nauseum by this point, so you know that's a thing. But there are also acoustic versions of several other Five Sauce songs, including Voodoo Doll, Don't Stop, Amnesia, Youngblood, Want You Back, Lie to Me, Complete Mess, even Teeth has an acoustic variant. These are just a few examples, and there are a ton more floating around online that are all worth checking out. The Lip Ring. Back in the edgier days of Five Sauce, aka the mid-2010s, Luke had a lip ring. There's even a reference to it in the 5 Seconds of Summer show emo funeral skit.
Lip ring. When I look in the mirror each morning, I'll always remember you. Because the hole won't close.
Cocktail chats. Similar to the drunk history of Fall Out Boy with Brendan Urie,
Watch this.
Cocktail Chats is a 7-episode YouTube series in which the members of Five Sauce discuss the meaning and writing process of all of the songs on Youngblood. With 2 songs per episode, the guys get more and more intoxicated and the explanations get more and more chaotic and off topic.
Want You Back was the first song we released. I'm gonna start using hand gestures now, so look at it. Making stacks. Oh, I like that. Always gonna make some stacks. Always gonna make some stacks.
Each episode can last anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, so watching them all in one sitting might be an ask, but I do recommend giving them a watch if you're having a bad day or just need a good laugh. Times like these. BBC Radio 1's Live Lounge segment brings popular artists or groups to the Radio 1 station in London to perform acoustic versions of their own music and usually a cover of a song by another popular artist. Five Sauce are no stranger to the Live Lounge, having performed at the studio on an almost yearly basis from 2014 to 2019. With heavy lockdowns in place in 2020, the BBC decided to do something unprecedented, a performance featuring several popular musical acts for a new presentation called the Stay Home Live Lounge. Artists like Dua Lipa, Bastille, Ellie Goulding, Haley Steinfeld, among others, recorded themselves playing and singing Foo Fighters' Times Like These. Foo Fighters' own Dave Grohl even made an appearance. However, one artist who appeared even for a brief few seconds was 5 Seconds of Summer's Luke Hemmings himself. 13 Reasons Why. The popular Netflix series 13 Reasons Why saw a number of major musical artists appear on its soundtrack, like Selena Gomez, Joy Division, The Cure, and who can forget Lord Huron. I mean, The Night We Met is a great song, but it's so overplayed. That aside, 5 Seconds of Summer were featured on the show's 3rd season soundtrack with Teeth. This might have played a big part in the song's undeniable popularity. Honest to God, I haven't seen an episode of this show, mainly because of the controversy surrounding it, but I'm always on the lookout for something good to watch, so let me know if it's worth checking out. No Place Like Home Tour. In early March 2014, Five Sauce took to their socials to announce their 7th tour, the No Place Like Home Tour, which would take place across Australia between March 23rd and April 30th, 2014 to promote the She Looks So Perfect EP with opening acts Little C and Mike Dignam. Dignam? I don't know how to pronounce this either. Good Mythical Morning and Good Mythical More. One of YouTube's most popular and longest running series, Good Mythical Morning, is a show that I really connect with for its comedy and the internal journey faced by its hosts Rhett and Link, but that's a story for another time. With my connection to it, it came as a very pleasant surprise to see that 5 Seconds of Summer made a guest appearance on the show's 1,591st episode, and its post-show, Good Mythical More. The main episode saw Rhett, Ashton, and Michael face off against Link, Luke, and Callum in a challenge to see who among them could hold a note the longest, and the loser was forced to do something disgusting like eat a boiled snake or take a shot of pig's blood. Good Mythical More was much goofier than its counterpart, seeing all 6 men trying to use connected toothbrushes to brush their teeth all at the same time. Spilling the Quarantine. After Calm released in March of 2020 and the world began to shut down due to the pandemic, the new album's accompanying tour dates would be postponed and inevitably canceled outright. With no tour or public events taking place to promote Calm, the guys all took to Zoom to have a chat filled with comedic moments that would be recorded and shared to YouTube under the name Spilling the Quarantine. It's legitimately an hour's worth of conversation between the 4 members of Five Sauce, all talking about the new album and their lives during the pandemic. It's genuinely really funny, and I recommend giving it a watch. Catch Up. This is Ketchup, the fictional pseudo-mascot of 5 Seconds of Summer during their earlier days. He was very popular within the fandom between the band's 2014 debut album and Sounds Good Feels Good, but with the time between the band's second and third album, Ketchup seemed to have disappeared from the spotlight. Lots of merch of the dog was made, but is often hard to come by, so if you want a piece of classic 5 Sauce history, snatch up your own Ketchup when you get the chance. Early YouTube covers. After 5 Sauce formed and played their first show in 2011, the quartet began uploading covers of popular songs to their own YouTube channel. This is where the group got their start and got them noticed, leading to the recording of their first EP, leading to their opening for One Direction, and so on and so on. All of these covers are still up on 5 Sauce's official YouTube channel as of the release of this video. Some of these covers include Wheatus's Teenage Dirtbag, Ed Sheeran's A-Team, and Adele's Rolling in the Deep. Easier, Charlie Puth remix. On August 13th, 2019, 5 Sauce released a collaboration with Charlie Puth that culminated in a remix of their most recent single, Easier. It featured an entirely new first verse and chorus recorded by Charlie, plus his famous riffs included in different places throughout. With how much the original version of the song sounds like a Charlie Puth song, I can't say I dislike this remix. I do like the lyrical changes to the first verse, and Charlie and Luke's vocals pair surprisingly well. I really don't mind this version of Easier at all. It's pretty good. Firefight Australia. On February 16, 2020, TEG Dainty Music Group organized a 10-hour music event in order to raise funds following the Australian bushfire that took place in 2019 and 2020. Firefight Australia featured 24 different musical acts, including 5 Seconds of Summer, Alice Cooper, Queen, Olivia Newton-John, and Michael Bublé, among others. 5 Seconds of Summer in particular were a major headliner for Firefight, playing a 5-song set list which included She Looks So Perfect, Easier, No Shame, Want You Back, and Young Blood in that order. The nationally televised event would go on to raise $9.85 million to benefit fire services, the Red Cross, animal welfare organizations, and the Foundation for Rural and Regional Renewal, or FRRR. She's Kinda Hot EP, B-Sides. I mentioned in the last tier that prior to the release of Sounds Good Feels Good, 5 Sauce released an EP on August 28, 2015 consisting of 4 songs that ultimately were cut from the following album's release. These 4 songs being Broken Pieces, Over and Out, Lost in Reality, and an alternate version of She's Kinda Hot. I personally really love this EP and this general era of 5 Sauce, so of course I recommend that you check it out if you haven't. Rock Out With Your Socks Out tour. We're hitting the point with tours where I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself, so from this point on, I'll be presenting you guys with the important details of each respective tour and any noteworthy facts and events that took place during them. 5 Seconds of Summer's first worldwide tour, the Rock Out With Your Socks Out tour, was announced on July 7th, 2014 and was held from February 25th to September 13th of the next year with opening acts Hey Violet, The Veronicas, and State Champs. This tour was honestly a bit of a cursed one for 5 Sauce. Toward the end of their set on June 13th in London, Michael would suffer major burns to his head and face during the band's performance of She Looks So Perfect after accidentally walking into the onstage pyrotechnics, and the rest of the group would not go on for an encore. On May 23rd in Norwich, Luke came down with a case of laryngitis but would still play the full show. Jeez, the things these guys go through for us. Take what you want. Japanese rock band One OK Rock released their 8th studio album, Ambitions, worldwide on January 13th, 2017. The album featured a 14-song track list, the last of which being a collaboration with none other than 5 Seconds of Summer. Entitled Take What You Want, the song featured vocals from all 4 members of 5 Sauce and is the payoff to an earlier collaboration between the two groups in which One OK Rock opened for 5 Sauce on their Sounds Live, Feels Live tour. And low-key, this might be my favorite collaboration they've ever done. Lie to Me featuring Julia Michaels. Youngblood's third track, Lie to Me, was re-released as the album's 4th single in December of 2018, featuring vocals by singer-songwriter Julia Michaels. I don't know what it is about re-releases of songs and turning them into duets, but I always eat them up. The Julia Michaels version of Lie to Me specifically turns a sad, catchy breakup song into a story of a couple who ended their relationship on bad terms but still miss each other. It's heartbreaking and I'm sorry, but I can't get enough of it. The Tier List. On August 19th, 2021, 5 Sauce took to Twitch to livestream themselves ranking every major song in their discography up to that point. It's notorious within the fan base due to the band's pretty hot takes when it comes to their own music. I'm still personally offended by the fact that Talk Fast somehow wound up in C tier, but I guess that's neither here nor there. If you want to possibly make yourself really upset, the link to this video will be in the description. Just a fair warning, if there's a song of theirs you love, there's a good chance the band does not. Band name origins. Have you ever looked at 5 Seconds of Summer's name and thought, where did this come from? What dramatic story brought about this strangely profound and beautifully poetic? I don't know. I can't find the exact answer. Some interviews with the band say that names were thrown back and forth until something stuck and they landed on 5 Seconds of Summer. Others say it means nothing and Michael came up with it lying naked in bed watching Scrubs. I could be wrong here, so if someone has the 100% correct story on how the band's name came about, please let me know in the comments because I'm really confused. Michael has become the band's producer. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but after the release of Calm, 5 Sauce broke away from their label, Interscope Records, and would sign with BMG, or Bertelsmann Music Group, the following year. BMG is known for their focus on artist-first music production, which is good to hear knowing 5 Sauce's love for their craft. All of that said, the group wanted their sound to be unique to them, and the only way to accomplish this is by letting the band make their art the way they want. This ultimately led to Michael Clifford becoming the band's main music producer, and if you ask me, I think he's killing it so far. Outside of producing for 5 Seconds of Summer, Michael served as the composer for the song Wake Up on the 2018 Black Veil Brides album, Veil. Michael, if you're watching this, you should be proud, and I can't wait to hear what you have coming up in the future. 5 Sauce 3 Tour. To promote what would become Youngblood, the band would take to the stage on the 5 Sauce 3 tour. This particular tour featured something akin to a best-of set list for the group that was surprisingly short compared to other tours, only consisting of 12 songs at just about every stop. Along with their more popular songs, 5 Sauce would play songs from their soon-to-be-released third album in order to build hype, and build hype they did, as the album would go on to become the band's most successful as of the writing of this video. The tour itself lasted from March 20th to June 6th, 2018, with stops in 5 different continents. Bromance. Quick and easy one here, but Bromance was an original name for the band that Michael claimed to have thrown out there but didn't stick. Not much else to it. You reference. In Season 3, Episode 4 of the hit Netflix series You, what is it with Netflix and 5 Sauce? 5 Seconds of Summer is referenced in a joke in which the show's main character, Penn Badgley's Joe Goldberg, essentially performs a mental background check on another character.
Did I know you had your breasts enhanced in 2017? Vlogged your recovery from Adderall addiction? Brothers a roadie for something called 5 Seconds of Summer?
I've never seen the show outside of this episode for the sake of research, but I know he's a stalker or something. I probably sound really ignorant. All that matters is 5 Sauce were referenced one time, and that's sick. The ships. Malum, Lastron, Castron, Muke, whichever way you swing it, someone is shipping the members of 5 Sauce. It's not a new concept for fans to ship members of a popular band, so I'm sure you're all familiar and I don't think much more needs to be said. Ashton's drum covers. During lockdown, Ashton would film himself drumming along to popular songs at the time, and doing a great job at it, I might add, such as The Weeknd's Blinding Lights and Dua Lipa's Don't Start Now. These covers were actually what convinced me to pick up the drums, so I have a strange sense of nostalgia for them. The covers themselves can easily be found on YouTube. 5 Sauce 5 title inspired 5 Sauce 5 title inspired by fan tweets. This is more of a speculatory entry than anything else, but as a 5th album was looming, a number of witty fans took to Twitter to tell the band that not calling their next LP 5 Sauce 5 would be a terribly missed opportunity. Who would have guessed it? When the official title was announced in mid-2022, 5 Sauce 5 began trending online as it was confirmed to be the name of the next album. Could fans have had something to do with it? Was it planned from the start? I'm in both camps, but I do like to think that the fans played a crucial role in the decision. Original logo drama. One of the band's original logos was a 5 tally mark. It's become synonymous with 5 Sauce, and as of the writing and recording of the script, 3 of the 4 members of the group have the tally mark logo tattooed on them somewhere, minus Michael. So what happened to it? Why'd they stop using it? According to Callum in a now deleted tweet, copyright, bruh. No further explanation was given, however, it was rumored that clothing company Undefeated was pursuing legal action against the band, as 5 Sauce's tally mark logo shared a striking resemblance to their own. Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I get it. Logos are important for brands and how recognizable they become, but suing someone over 5 tally marks seems a little silly to me. There may be some deeper meaning to the logo for Undefeated, but I feel that a logo of 5 tally marks makes more upfront sense for a group called 5 Seconds of Summer. Maybe I'm being close-minded, but this just seems silly to me if this is actually the case. Youngblood alternate version. We all know Youngblood by now. If you don't and you've made it this far, I'm honestly surprised. But go listen to it now or else this entry won't make much sense. In the original cut of the song, after the bridge, there is a very short drum fill that leads directly into the final chorus. However, in this alternate version, the bridge ends in a false drop, and what follows is Luke singing the first 3 bars of the chorus an octave down. Then comes the short drum fill, exploding into the final chorus that we recognize. It's not any kind of major change, but that kind of small touch can make a world of a difference to diehard fans like me. Ashton is my best friend. This is a sweet moment between Callum and Ashton from the 6th episode of the Youngblood promotional tour diaries.
I love this guy, even let him touch my butt. 1, 2, 3. Ashton, my best friend, gonna be friends till the very end.
This might be unrelated, but one of the B-sides on Youngblood is called Best Friend. It is believed to be about Ashton and Callum's friendship, and it honestly sounds a lot like Valentine to me. No Shame Tour 2020. This US tour was announced on January 31st of 2020 with 21 stops between August 19th and September 26th of that year. The No Shame Tour was created to promote the release of their 4th album, Calm, and saw another one of my favorite bands, the band Camino, serving as the opener, and I'll spare you the details, you probably know where this is headed. The tour was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and the closest we got to a 5 Sauce tour between 2020 and mid-2022 was the 5 Seconds of Summer 10th anniversary show. Shows were postponed a number of times, and Calm would debut without a tour to support it. For everyone's safety, it was best that this tour didn't see the light of day. But I'd be lying if I said I was disappointed that I didn't get to see a couple of my favorite bands share the stage. Nothing lasts forever, nothing stays the same. This is a lyric that, from the lens of someone who isn't a big fan of 5 Sauce, isn't a big deal. However, this is a lyric that the band used in 2014's Wherever You Are, and recycled later in 2021's 2011. There's a good 7-year time gap between the release of these 2 songs, and hearing it with the context of the band growing up with their fans is a major gut punch. 5 Sauce Talk 10 Years. Along with the 10-year anniversary show, the guys recorded a series of 11 podcasts, each covering a single year of their lives as a band from 2011 all the way to 2021. These podcast episodes range anywhere from 9 minutes to half an hour apiece and are another great way to dig into 5 Sauce's lore and history if you're curious. Each episode also has some really fun animations by Marco Pavone, a YouTube animator with a surprisingly low subscriber count for how good his animation work is. I'll have his channel linked in the description, along with a playlist of all 11 episodes of the 5 Sauce Talk 10 Years podcast. Old Me references and cameos. Old Me was Calm's 4th single, and with it came a very nostalgia-fueled music video featuring callbacks to places and people in the band's past. From younger versions of the band, to references to the Amnesia music video, to recreating the Somewhere New cover art, and even a One Direction cameo. What? Okay, not really. It's 5 dudes who look vaguely like the members of 1D, and you only see them for a solid 2 seconds anyway. But they know what they were doing. My point being, there are so many callbacks to 5 Sauce's past in the Old Me video. One of my personal favorites being Michael's grandma's living room, where the 4 shot their cover of Teenage Dirtbag and their first recording of Gotta Get Out. And there are way more, too many to go over here. So I have a link to a United by Pop article that breaks down all the details in the music video in the description. They noticed things that even I, a longtime fan in the midst of hours of research, couldn't find. Callum hates Heartbreak Girl. I wrote this entry on the Iceberg, and after doing more research, I've made the executive decision to change this one as well, to 5 Sauce Hates Heartbreak Girl. From the beginning, Luke wasn't a big fan of the song, stating that he, Callum, and the group's then producer Steve Robson wrote 4 songs together, Heartbreak Girl being one of them, and it was Luke's least favorite of the 4. Years later, during 5 Sauce's Spilling the Quarantine video, the 4 openly mock the song. Not long after, during the group's tier list video, Heartbreak Girl unsurprisingly sat at the lowest possible tier.
They moved it up to D tier, but they put it in the lowest tier by instinct, so it doesn't count.
I choose to believe the band's distaste for this song simply stems from the fact that they've grown up. That song just doesn't fit the vibe they're going for anymore, and lyrically, it definitely sounds like a song written by a teenage boy. All of that said, during the 5 Sauce show tour, Heartbreak Girl was one of the 6 Dice songs that the audience chose at random, showing the guys aren't opposed to playing it, it's just not really one of their favorites. And now, a brief compilation.
What's your least favorite song on the first record, Mark?
Callum told me in person he does not like Heartbreak Girl.
Would you rather play Heartbreak Girl or Die? Easy.
die.
Heartbreak Girl is everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's kind of policey.
Heartbreak Girl, I think maybe it might be a D tier.
It might be a D tier,
All right, yeah,
because it even goes do-da boots boot it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's a nice little immature ditty.
I don't know why we've just been making fun of playing that song.
Calm symbols. When Easier released in 2019, fans noticed a group of 4 symbols throughout the song's marketing. It's believed that they correspond to each member of the band and don't have much significance beyond what they mean to each respective member. The only one of the 4 to provide a concrete meaning for their symbol is Ashton. On his Twitter, he stated, "The blood moon and the match represents my internal battle between my darkness and light. It represents the true potential and self-battle of the pursuit of greater imagination and patience for creation. It represents me on a higher spiritual level." While the exact meaning of the other symbols has yet to be confirmed, a user on Amino, going by the screen name Baby I Ain't Playing By Your Rules, posted their theories regarding their significance, and I highly recommend checking it out. But the TLDR is that Michael's resembles the Mayan number 13, Callum's is in reference to his Polynesian background, and Luke's is the Eye of Providence or the All-Seeing Eye. Again, it's not my theory, I just thought it was really well thought out and I want to give credit where credit's due.